My mouse like moved. That's weird. I didn't do that. Okay.
Was it me? Alright. Let's do this.
Can you see the stream?
Yep.
Let me just crack my knuckles real quick. I find myself doing that. I guess it's like a holdover from when I used to play guitar. Although not as like it's not as in-depth as I used to do with guitar. Like with guitar I used to like basically split each finger apart. I don't really do that anymore, but
Uh-oh.
yeah.
Well,
did you have exercises like that? Like before you start, you like do something along
before
those lines? Like before you start practicing or performing or whatever?
I try to pop my back because like playing French horn like really twists up your back.
Oh yeah. That's true.
So I try to like make it as painless as possible. If possible.
Yeah. Fuck, I remember reading like some sort of, I guess it was a joke. It's I don't know. It sounds strange when I put it like that. It's like, oh yeah, I went up and read some jokes on the internet. It's like, well, that's pretty weird. But anyway, the joke was like about this girl who dated 3 different musicians. You probably heard this one, but it's like, fuck. I dated. I can't even remember. Anyway, the punchline is that yeah, a trumpet player, a trumpeter, a tuba player, and then
a horn player, and then
yeah.
She was like, "Well, the kissing was okay, but like I liked how he held me."
Yeah, that was like, out of all the like band-related jokes that I've seen, that's, and to be honest, most of them tend to be like puns and shit like that. But
right.
So I'm already a bit off the wagon in that case. But like, just in terms of all the band-related puns and shit that I've seen, that's probably one of my favorite.
It checks out.
It checks out,
every
yeah.
time.
It does. Let me just upgrade the Crysterium before, just to give people time. Yeah. Oh, Snow. Oh, that's right. Snow's already done with his. That's why he has a shit ton of Crysterium built up, or Crystogen.
You know, because it's hard to get under those cracks and clean it up. So there's a build-up.
This is so it's like in the Crysterium, there's characters who aren't, you know, the 2 characters who aren't strength-centric, which would be Hope and Vanille. They still have a bunch of like strength nodes in the Crysterium. It's like, I don't want to go for these, but they're in the way. Even though I'm not going to be using them. So like the last one for the medic in this stage is strength +3, and it costs like an extra 120 compared to the other nodes. It's like, I'm not gonna get that until I have nothing left to get. So
yeah.
But magic +4, that's good. There we go, only 2 nodes. Yeah.
Tight.
Alright. Pretty good. So yeah, there we go. So I think we've been live for a bit. I guess what I could do, I kind of want to go back and fight these enemies, but nah, we'll just, well, I guess it would be a good warm-up. But how long does this battle take? Fuck it, we'll do it.
I think just keep going.
Oh shit. Well, they've seen me.
Oops.
Well, that's the thing though. You can just click. Oh, there's only 2 of these dudes. I thought there was gonna be 3 of them.
Oh man, I thought that they were gonna get a preemptive strike on you.
Yeah, so that's, I think we talked about that briefly, but there's like there's an animation in this game for like the enemy getting a preemptive on you, but there's no function like that in the game.
Oh.
So I don't know. I feel like it's one of those things that they had planned, but they just never went through with it.
It's all about teamwork.
So I don't know.
My other computer woke up. I have no idea why, but at like 10:15, It always turns on. I have no idea how or why. We have no idea.
Not yet.
It just turns on. It's the desktop that turns on.
Just turns on by itself.
Yes.
That's pretty.
Yes.
Fucked.
It's like.
Well,
And
it's
heaven
okay.
forbid we like go to bed before 10 o'clock, or we're out at a friend's until 10, like until past 10, because then all of a sudden it's just on for the rest of the night. We always joke that our cat is like playing Minecraft or something.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's okay. We don't need to fight those enemies because I lost the battle anyway, so it's fine.
Oh.
And yeah, it's like there's no penalty for retrying, like at any or
Right.
dying at all. So I don't know. This game's quite forgiving. Also, there's save points fucking everywhere as well. I guess
If you die in game, you get to retry in real life.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like the ultimate video game power. In any game is just save and load. That's all you need. It's literally time manipulation. Nothing better than that. But I guess we've been live for a few minutes. So hello everybody, welcome back. It's been a week, obviously, and we're back with FF13. So yeah, today.
I was excited, obviously.
Yeah. Today we're gonna be probably finishing this chapter and also the next chapter, which is really short. So yeah, I'd say we're probably like this boss that we're about to fight right now is pretty much the halfway point of this chapter, probably. Oh, I need to use Libra. There it is.
Oh, follow my lead.
So yeah,
Interesting spook guy there.
you mean this boss?
Yeah.
Yes,
He's like, I want to identify as a dragon, but then
Yeah.
I also want to identify as an angel, but not just like an angel, not just Satan or Lucifer. I want to be like a dragon angel, so
yeah.
with like crab claws.
Yeah, so that's the thing. I mean, obviously a lot of the enemies in this game seem to be somewhat based off of
It's all about
like
teamwork.
animals. I feel like, I don't know who said it first, but somebody's brought up how this enemy kind of looks like a shrimp.
Yes. Oh man, that makes this like so much less scary.
Yeah.
Just a little
Oh, follow my lead.
thing that
Yeah.
when we cook you, we gotta like take that
Nice hope.
Yeah.
poop.
Could you turn up the volume of the stream and just listen to the like game versus us audio balance? Because to me, the game is fucking loud as hell. Oh wait, he's gonna use this fucking stuff.
Yeah, the game is a little bit loud.
Okay. Do you think it's the same as like last time?
I didn't check last time, honestly.
Oh, okay.
I'm professional.
Is anybody in the
Like
chat?
Anyone? Well, not right now, I guess.
Okay, that's fine. It's probably not. Oh shit.
Just talk a little bit louder, that's fine.
Yeah, I guess we could do that.
So, and people could like turn the entire thing down a little bit.
Yeah. But yeah,
Honestly, like listening back again, it sounds okay-ish.
oh, okay. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. For some reason it sounds really loud to me, but I don't think it sounds that loud to,
Well, I would say that the music is like not too far off from us, so
yeah.
or the game sound is not too far from us. Or words. Oh my gosh. The audio for us in the game are quite close. So,
Yeah.
but You can see us over everything.
I guess I could just
It's
turn.
not. It's not one of those things where it's like.
I could, yeah,
very,
I could
very
just.
faint
I could just turn my
and faint.
headphones down. Maybe that would be better. There we go. Yeah.
Anyway. So yeah.
Let's beat this. There we go. Done in one stagger. I watched Pup do a low level run of this fight a few days ago.
Okay.
It's interesting because like I've thought about doing low level runs and shit like that in other games, or like in Pokemon. Do you know what a Nuzlocke run is?
A what?
It's called a Nuzlocke run.
Nuzlocke run. Fusroda.
So in Pokemon, or I guess the idea, the person who came up with it, their name is Nuzlocke, so that's why it's called Nuzlocke. But basically, it's like where Pokemon is like if your Pokemon faints, you can't use them anymore.
Ah, sure. That's such a cartoony name.
Is
Nuzlocke.
it? Maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Like it's like a cartoon.
I guess it's kind of foreign. But yeah, I'm not sure.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's too spicy or not.
I don't know.
Well, I've never heard that name, so it must be foreign.
Well, I'm just thinking it sounds kind of a little bit Scandinavian to me, so.
Yeah, I can see that.
Just trying to decide what abilities to go for. Why did I get this one here? Okay, well. Oh, the roll level. There we go. There we go, perfect. Yeah. And then we'll go for Quake. I know it's kind of useless. Alright, cool. Oh, why did I give you a doctor's code? What the fuck is this? Let's see.
She's like, you meant to. You meant to give me that.
I guess, yeah. Maybe it's just because I didn't have much else to give her. Silver bangle? Black belt? Fuck it, yeah, why not? You can have a doctor's code. And that thing, cool. Nice. Yeah. So now we're back with our, thing in video. And actually what I wanted to talk about was, like, how, since this chapter's kind of a good chapter to talk about it, like how, like this game's, or just video games in general, if we want to talk about that, representation of like mental health issues, because I feel like there's a lot of that in this game. Yeah, I guess I could talk about that in regards to this game first, because this is pretty much one of my favorite games ever. So.
Disclaimer,
yeah.
We are no experts.
Yeah, we're not experts, but we have experience, I guess, so that's something.
I guess we have experience in a limited assortment of mental health stuff.
But yeah, so this game does a pretty interesting job of, you know, going over some of those mental illnesses, so like one in particular, or we could talk about what each character has to go with. So like Lightning, I guess we could talk about different examples. Lightning kind of shows signs of depression, at least in the first part of the game.
Is she... So, I hear people say that she's not very emotional, right? She's pretty much a blank slate.
Well, I wouldn't call her a blank slate, but she,
Okay.
I guess what people mean when they say that. I mean, obviously people are trying to talk shit about her, but you know,
Sure. Yeah.
what I think what they mean to say and what they're confusing it with is stoicism, which is, it's not that they don't have emotions, it's just that they're not showing their emotions.
Ready to sacrifice the city if that's what it takes to catch us.
So,
Yeah,
it would be
they might think of her more as like a how do you call, like like, I don't know, I guess like either psychopath because they don't show emotion, but they don't have relationships with people. But if you do have similar tendencies, but nice doggo.
Yeah, what the f- There's just like, there were, so Snow and Hope ran through this area earlier, and there was, you know, people here, but now there's only just this one fucking dog here.
Can you go to it?
No, I can't walk over there, but it's really weird, I never noticed that before.
I mean, if you want to be a dog, woof, you know?
Yeah.
Oh god, that guy, he's scary.
Yeah, they're really fast. Let me see if he'll turn around.
Well, in any case, so like if you have, from my understanding, if you have similar traits of psychopathy, but you're able to establish relationships with people, that's more sociopathy. They have meaningful relationships with people. They're not just like, just plain do not care for others. Either that or like I can definitely see only because
Hardly worth the effort.
like maybe borderline too.
Do you mean just in general, or do you mean specifically about lightning?
Well, like I'm just going off of like the whole like reserve emotions sort of thing. But if she were borderline, she would be kind of like extreme. Like she would say like, you're either with me or against me.
Yeah.
You either agree with me or you don't. And like there would also like usually some sort of substance abuse too. I don't think there's any of that going on in the game. Also too, like you know more about her than I do, Alfie.
Yeah. Yeah, so the thing about lightning is that I can kind of tell based on what's going on in her life. That it's not, I guess it's not necessarily depression, but I mean, obviously they're not, you know, real people, so it's kind of hard to give them a full, or what might constitute as a full diagnosis. But yeah, I feel like if it's anything, it's probably depression for lightning specifically. Because so she's stoic, but like she's always kind of been like that because, you know, her parents died when she was young, and so she, you know, has to be a stronger person for Sarah. So, you know, she's always been kind of a stoic person, but
sure. Now, did she change her name, or did she like change who she was?
Well, she does talk. She talks about that at the beginning of this chapter. So she says, "If I think I remember exactly what the line was." She's talking to Hope. So she's they're talking about how so Lightning comes to the realization that humans are just pets to the Fal'Cie, and just, you know, essentially they're just pawns to be, you know, pushed around or praised or punished as they see fit, and not actual humans. Or, you know, they don't, or rather they don't see the value that a human would see in another human. So yeah, so in that cutscene, she is like, you know, and then Hope is also talking about how he wants to kill Snow because he blames Snow for his mother's death, even though it's honestly not his fault. You know, she was the one who decided to try fighting.
Sure.
And you know, if the other thing is like, if they didn't fight, like she didn't need to because there were other people fighting as well. But you know, it's like, it's really not Snow's fault that she died, because you know, if nobody fought, I think that's the thing she understands, is that like, if nobody were to fight, then they were just gonna die anyway. So you might as well, you know, make it ugly, just like Zoro said in I can't remember what arc it was, but you know, in One Piece.
But okay, so for Lightning, but like, did
But yeah, so basically the story is she
her name, just her name, or was she like, I'm gonna like make a new identity?
Yeah, so basically what she tells, in a nutshell, what she tells Hope, because, you know, Hope is pretty much, he's like, I don't want to see my dad again, I don't want to visit him again, because he's never cared about me or my mom, because he's like a very workaholic type of person, only cares about his job, sort of. So, you know, and then Lightning's telling him that, you know, he should go see his dad, because, you know, according to Lightning, fighting without hope is no way to live. So, and, you know, Hope's like, well, there is no hope for us because we're l'Cie. So, yeah, and then, so, they start talking about their names, and Lightning talks about how, when their parents died, she changed her name to Lightning because she thought that, like, by changing her name, she could change who she was.
Okay.
So she changed her name to Lightning so that she could, you know, in sort of a, I guess, a show of, or like a, sort of like a fake it till you make it type of situation, you know what I mean?
So, like, not fugal, but like with the intention of being, like, going to fugue.
Yeah, she was trying to make a change, and she felt like this was a good way to do so. So yeah, so she changes her name in an effort to change the type of person she is, or to try to be a stronger person for her sister.
To like already put her mindset in a different place.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, but you know, in the game.
So depression with like a pseudo fugue state.
I guess so. It's like so the part that makes me feel like she has depression is how, you know, she knows that I mean, granted, Snow does the same thing, but he doesn't, in my opinion, he doesn't show any signs of depression. But you know, she's willing to just fight the government at any stage, you know, and she's willing to fight the FFXIII, knowing that, you know, she's risking her life doing so. But then even after she becomes l'Cie, she's like, yeah, let's take down the Sanctum, and like that's pretty much the whole fucking government, and they know that like they're going after them, you know.
So problems with authority also.
Well, no, because she, you know, when she was serving in the army, she had no problems with it at all.
Yes. Okay, so just the opposite.
And I was
Yeah.
just getting started.
So what I mean is, like, when she was like, yeah, let's take down the fucking Sanctum, because it's their fault that all this shit is going on. You know, it's their fault that,
Residential district.
you know, it's basically their fault that the purge is happening and all that.
Right. Okay.
And, you know, they don't agree with it, obviously, because these people are fucking dying.
Keep a cool
But, like, you know, even after she becomes a l'Cie, she's like, yeah, let's plunge straight into the heart of the Sanctum, even though that's basically, like, a suicide mission. So yeah, it's
Alright.
like she exhibits signs of suicidal, you know, or like pseudo suicidal, because it's not like she really wanted to kill herself. It's more like she had very little regard for her life, pretty much.
Right. Yeah, I view that as definitely different.
Yeah, some people, I don't know, some people would refer to that as like suicidal, I suppose. But
No.
but then on top of that, you know, she in this towards the start of this this chapter, she was perfectly willing to sacrifice herself for hope. But then, so that by itself doesn't really constitute depression. But just on top of that, the whole thing that she's like from the start of the game, and even after she became a Lassie, she didn't want anybody with her. She didn't want to fight with her Lassie allies or anything like that. You know, she's like an extreme form of a lone wolf, you know, pretty much.
Right. I feel like that might be characteristic of like another symptom, but I can't think of anything.
Yeah, it's just like, and then furthermore, just like on top of that, the thing about Lightning is she reminds me of me when I had depression, like point for point. She, you know, she exhibits a lot of anger. She's untrusting. That's one of the biggest things about like her personality, is that she doesn't trust other people.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if that has so much to do with depression as it does with upbringing.
Well, no, because, you know, she's again, she made such a huge change in her life after her parents died. So, although, I guess
mean,
unless,
like,
if you
like
mean
this,
at that point.
like circumstances
Yeah.
made her feel like she couldn't trust anybody.
Yeah. Well, to
As
me, you know...
For us, we definitely had a person in our life where, you know, we couldn't trust
Yeah.
because you would never know what to expect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you know, it's possible. Yeah, I'm just saying that Lightning, towards the start of the game, reminds me a lot, like, almost point for point of myself when I had depression. So... That's a pretty big thing. And then just the fact that she's willing to, even though she knows it's basically a suicide mission, she's so readily willing to just, you know, throw her life away for the sake of vengeance, basically.
Do you feel empowered seeing this in a game?
Well, in the sense that she accomplishes everything that she means to do, yeah.
No, just a depiction.
Oh, what was the question again? I mean, how did you word it exactly? Did it make me feel what?
Like, do you feel
Empowered? Is that what you said?
empowered, or, you know, like, better, I guess, seeing something that you, like, similarities that you've experienced portrayed in a game?
Oh yeah, something that I can relate to? Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But I mean, like, not even just like, oh, I could relate to that. It's kind of like a, man, like, I'm in this, I've been in my own darkness, and, you know, it's hard to talk about it with other people, or even if it is easy to talk about it with other people don't necessarily know how to empathize. So, like, seeing that portrayed in a game, like, that can make you kind of feel better.
Yeah.
Because, like, you
sort of.
have something to commiserate with. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I feel that way. And actually, you know, I felt like, personally, I don't think I thought about it exactly like that, or in that way. or like not with those exact words, but you know, yeah, I felt like Lightning in particular was someone I could really, I found her the most relatable character. So, yeah, I guess in that sense it kind of manifests in that way. So
I feel that is an uncommon comment on the internet.
yeah, although I don't know, I feel like a lot of the people,
But
well,
also
obviously
the
a lot of people who have depression are,
comment, you know, are the people that have a problem with something.
yeah, there's that as well, but you know, just in general, I feel like a lot of the people who do have depression are kind of quiet people in general. So there's that. Maybe they're just not, you know, maybe they just don't feel like making a comment.
They hide it well.
Yeah.
If they're not quiet, then they would compensate and they hide it.
Yeah. But yeah, so you know, I just, you know, in terms of back to the character, yeah, I feel like Lightning, at least to me, I feel like Lightning exhibits that, you know, that sort of tendency of depression.
Sure.
So there's that.
I get it.
Yeah, and then just the fact that, you know, and then clearly she copes with everything by being stoic and like distant. And then the fact that even more so, I guess, is like even more satisfying than all of, like just seeing it in general is like how they overcome these things. You know, she at the end of the game, she becomes someone who is you know, perfectly willing to work with people, perfectly willing to compromise with other people, and you know, just isn't afraid, you know, just isn't as afraid of showing her emotions or anything like that.
Right,
And you see that in like how close she gets to Hope, which is actually another good a good talking point or tangent, is how just, you know, the beauty of the interpersonal relationships in this game. So like, you know, at the start of the game, Lightning loses Sarah, is sort of, you know, Sarah turns to Crystal.
Right.
So, and you know, Lightning, at the start of the game, Lightning thinks she's dead. And that's literally the only family she has. And the only, like, the only person Lightning was trying, actually, you know, the only thing Lightning had on her mind ever since her parents died, or even more so after Sarah became a L'Cie, was just, I need to protect Sarah. So
Right.
and so basically, once she turned to Crystal, Lightning thought she was dead. So that's in Lightning's mind, Lightning has no reason to live anymore. So yeah, but interestingly, I feel so. Hope loses his mom, like literally right in front of his eyes.
Yeah, that's traumatic.
Yeah,
For sure.
So before we talk about Hope specifically, you know, it's interesting to see Lightning and Hope's relationship, because they, you know, they fight together. Look at this beautiful scene. This is it's a really nice area.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's surprising how similar the concept art looks to, like, if you just look in the cutscenes, or not the cutscenes, but like look around in the game, how similar the concept art looks. It's fucking crazy. And then like how much, like, just even in the floor tiles, like how much effort must have been put into designing that. So it's so intricate. It's crazy. But yeah, so it's funny to see how Lightning and Hope sort of connect with each other, because, you know, Lightning lost Sarah, who was her younger sister. So I think a good way to look at it is like Lightning sees Hope as sort of her second chance at protecting Sarah, and Hope views Lightning as like his second mother, sort of.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, and they grow really close to each other, and they both develop as characters together. You know, Lightning learns to accept that, you know, there's not only is there still hope, but also like that she can trust other people. So it's just interesting to see that. And then I guess for Hope specifically, you know, just talking about his character, I don't think I would call it a mental illness, just to move on. Unless did you have anything else to say about Lightning before we...
No, I don't think so.
Okay. But yeah, she's one of my favorite characters. Just like from her story alone. So, yeah, it's really interesting to see. I don't know, again, I don't know if it would count as depression specifically, but, you know, if not, then something almost as serious. So yeah, and then moving on to Hope. So Hope's obviously his mom. And by the way, just in case anybody doesn't know how old he is, Hope is 14, and Lightning's 21. Just in case anybody doesn't know that. But yeah, oh shit, Lightning. But yeah, so Hope, his mom dies literally right in front of him, so he has to kind of deal with that, and in his mind, he uses, again, I don't know if it would count as like a mental condition or anything like that, but, yeah, he uses, scapegoating as like his method of sort of coping with seeing his mother die. So he essentially he blames Snow for his mother's death, because Snow was right there when she died. So yeah, and just seeing how he deals with that is pretty interesting, because he goes from, you know, Lightning tries to show him that that, you know, it's not Snow who killed his mom, it's the Sanctum. But, you know, he was blaming Snow. And then in this chapter, which is another reason I love this chapter for the character development, you know, Snow ends up fighting with Hope, and then Hope just eventually can't take it anymore, and he tries to kill Snow. And, you know, he tells Snow, you know, he's like, my mom died because of you, and then he's about to kill him. So yeah, and then that's when Snow realizes that the one that his mom was talking about, because, you know, right before she died, she was like, get him home, and Snow didn't know who she was talking about. And then he finally, in this chapter, he realizes, oh, that person is Hope.
Right.
So yeah, it's just interesting to see how, like, and that's why I think Hope has the best character development, because he goes from, you know, somebody who just really couldn't deal, like, and obviously, you know, whiny is not a bad descriptor for his character. You know, he's just really can't deal with the fact that his mom's dead. And, you know, understandably, because, you know, he's a fucking kid, and, you know, from a small family, and now then he becomes a lessee with, like, pretty much no one to watch his back, until Lightning, you know, Lightning takes that role. So yeah.
Yikes. Yeah.
It's big.
A lot of trauma for that one.
Yeah. And that's another reason I like this game, just the strife, like the intrapersonal strife is really high stakes and really emotional. That's what I really like about this game. I mean, I feel like Square's never really, I mean, apart from, you know, the stuff that we've heard, obviously, that's been cut from Type 0 and 15, because those games were gonna be fucking, like, dark as hell. And I think I told you about that, but yeah, it's like, for example, in 15 was supposed to be about basically a death cult.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and, you know,
Like, Jonestown?
No, well, it's not too far from that, but no, it's not like mass suicide. No, it's more like...
Okay.
Well, no, it's more like homicide than anything.
Okay.
Like people
Got
who...
it.
It's kind of like, you know, I want to say the Dark Brotherhood, but that's not exactly congruent.
Yeah, that's kind of like... not culty, it's just...
It's not culty, because they're doing...
They're hired to do it.
Yeah, and it's like... it's not like they
just like mercenary, I guess. Yeah?
Yeah. Anyway, for this battle, this is one of the battles that you're supposed to lose. So you can fight him. You're not going to beat him because Hope isn't a commando. He's just a Ravager. But you should use Libra because so that you can read the enemy, and then
Sorry, I gotta sneeze.
you actually get most of your technical points back just between this cutscene that's about to happen.
Okay.
So yeah, supposed to wait for Lightning and Fang to show up, and then the battle actually starts. So there we go. What are my paradigms? Oh, they're trying to fuck me here. But... Oh, it's not too bad actually. Sometimes, yeah, the game gives you like custom paradigms when like it forcibly switches your team. So yeah, sometimes they're not the best, but yeah. But I can run with this. Sometimes they're kind of bad. But again, there's literally no penalty for retrying. So if you click pause and then retry and then retry, it takes you back before this cutscene, I think.
A different one every time? Like a different paradigm?
No, I don't think it does, but
oh, okay.
what it does do is it sets you right before the battle, and then but it lets you change your paradigms and like set your equipment and shit.
That's
so
good.
yeah,
That's a good deal.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's not like the game is like totally fucked you.
Yeah. So if you feel like the game did really fuck you, then
write an angry letter.
Yeah. But yeah, if you feel like it really fucked you over, then you can just hit retry at no penalty, and you can just change your paradigms and your like equipment and shit. So yeah, pretty good. So yeah,
this guy like really looks like some sort of crab, like especially when they like fly up in the sky. I'm like,
oh yeah, in its ground
looks
form.
Like it's cooked already.
Yeah, this is actually the same enemy that we fought with Snow and Hope.
Oh right, the
yeah,
one
but
that
it's
I
in
was
its.
like, I'm an angel dragon thing.
Yeah, it's This is the ground form of the same enemy, so it's like
okay, okay.
It doesn't fly anymore.
Gotcha. It's like part of the Pokemon evolution.
Yeah, kind of.
Thanks.
So, let's see. Who else do we want to take a look at as far as analyzing?
Yeah, so let's see. I think I was done talking about Hope. Yeah, so that's pretty much... There's not a whole... Honestly, his character is resolved quite quickly, but just in terms of the person he becomes, the person he was before, to the person he becomes. Like, he becomes somebody... He like, just as a quick summary, he's... At the start of the game, he's like somebody who's like... really insecure about, first of all, you know, like whether he's gonna survive or not, and then also
Right.
he has like no confidence. He's like, he's really quite lamenting. Actually, Pez, Final Fantasy Pez, he made a video specifically about this topic, like about the Snow and Hope, like, story.
Dynamic.
Yeah, they're dynamic. And it's a really good video. It's only like 5 minutes long, but it basically summarizes everything about, like why Hope is such a great character for development, and also why, you know, why Snow is also, well, basically the whole point of his video was that, like, it was honestly kind of a big gamble for Square, because, like, this is really, like, we were talking about it a little bit just now, but yeah, it's like, this was kind of a big gamble because they've kind of never done anything. Well, I mean, they've probably done stuff like this, but this is like really, this is like some of the heaviest shit they've ever done in probably any Final Fantasy game, but also just in games in general. So yeah, but yeah, it's a great video. He talks about like how it was kind of, he talks about, he also mentions how, like, Hope is, Hope exhibits all the signs of, what is it? It's like, you know those 7 stages of grief, I think, is that what it's called?
Is it 7 or 5?
I don't know. It depends on the psychologist, I think. Because Pez mentioned that it's, like, classically 5, but then there's, like, some psychologists think there's 2 more, so he talked about that as well.
Oh, I haven't heard that.
Yeah, it's,
but
again,
I know,
it's...
like, the first, like, one of the first ones is denial.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so he was talking about how... Oh, shit. Oh, God. Hope, please heal me. Oh, no. Oh, it's okay. Yeah, see, this is why the Sentinel is, like, fucking one of the best roles. Just being in the role improves everybody's defense.
Yeah.
It was actually really funny because Pez was, you know, he was streaming this yesterday and he's like, Sentinels, who needs that shit? Because I guess he didn't really use them on his first playthrough. So he basically kind of has been neglecting the Sentinel role.
Oh gosh.
For like the whole thing, and it's like, but it's funny because he kind of freaks out like whenever he loses a bunch of health or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, oh my god, he's like, oh my god, these enemies do so much fucking damage and shit. But it's like, I mean, you are kind of ignoring the only defensive, the only like pure defensive.
Yeah, and it's so simple too, so it's like.
But it's funny.
Switch, yeah.
People really enjoy seeing him
freak out about it.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't think he does it on purpose. I think he's just
doing it for the laughs.
Yeah, well, I guess he's a bit.
For the lulz.
Occasionally, he gets a bit cocky because, like, I guess in order to get like a 5-star in this game, you kind of have to. Well, you don't have to do everything perfectly. It's more like you kind of need to not fuck up much, and to do that you need like, this is a really intricate battle system, so you know there's a lot to consider when you think about strategies and when to do what, you know. So there's a lot to that, and I guess he just doesn't know it that well, which is, you know, fine. He understands how it works, and that's good enough. Not everybody can be like, you know, not everybody has the time to go into the battle system like I have, but you know.
Sure.
Yeah, it's understandable. This is Hope's house right here. I guess I don't know. I'm not sure if this is like, it's a really strangely designed house, but that's Cocoon for you. It kind of seems like an apartment because all of the buildings are connected.
Yeah.
In Palimpolum. So yeah, I need to level up a little bit because we're gonna be fighting enemies soon. There we go. Yeah, so all of the final nodes in any stage cost a little bit more, so I guess it's probably worthwhile if you just leave them for last because they cost the most, and get the other ones, because they don't provide like much more in terms of stats. So you might as well leave them for the final ones that you get. Although, good thing.
Kind of like save them all up.
Yeah, not that you need to, honestly, but just in general, it's best to go for all the other ones and then get the final one last, because it's a little bit more expensive than the others. So just in terms of like, just for the sake of cost effectiveness in just like in time, it's a it's a good deal. So yeah. So yeah, and then going back to what were we just talking about? We was talking about Snow and Hope. Yeah, so Hope exhibits all those stages of grief, I believe it's called. It's been a while since I've studied that, but yeah, it's fascinating. Maybe it's because it's like so close to like actual psych study that I feel like Hope has the best character development.
Okay, so he's more like straight out of like the DSM. Kind
of, yeah, and like he has, I wouldn't say he has a lot to lose necessarily because he's kind of lost a lot already, but yeah, like
there's still a lot to live for.
Yeah, but I guess it's I can't tell you. I really don't understand the people who just see him as a whiny little bitch and that's it. I guess those are the people who just didn't play through the whole game. But it's like I really can't, like, as you know me, and I'm a really empathetic person. But like, literally, Hope is just a kid. Like, he's 14. It's like,
right.
And all these people who complain about Hope being like a whiny bitch or whatever, it's like, my first question is, where's your sense of empathy? And it's like, and then second of all, it's like, are you really telling me that you could do better? Like,
at 14.
As a 14-year-old, seeing your mother die, you're in a war zone, and then you become this like cursed, this legendary cursed warrior, basically. That you didn't, and that's like the exact thing you were afraid of happening, apart from like your mom dying. So yeah, it's just like I can't. Well, like even more than that, he's a fucking kid. Like what the hell are you expecting from him?
Right.
Are you expecting much of bravado or something? I really don't know. I'm honestly baffled by the people who are just like, who were just expecting him to be some sort of,
It's just like, well, like, what did you do when you were 14? Barely, like, fuck all.
Yeah, and it's like,
even if you did fuck all, like, even if you didn't do fuck all, did you complain about it?
Yeah.
Probably.
I hate, man, as somebody who felt like I had no, I mean, the list goes on. I felt like when I was a kid, I felt like I had no agency, I had no power, and like arguably most importantly, I felt like nobody. I mean, it's not that people didn't care necessarily, but people didn't care enough to really listen to me, I felt. So you could call that caring, I suppose. People didn't care enough to listen to me, so that's part of it. It like to the degrees that you needed them to.
Thank you.
Or even the degree that I would consider to be respectful, That was a big part of it for me, because like when I was, just to go a little bit into why I became depressed and stuff like that, it's like part of it, apart from the stuff with our mom and all that shit. Just apart from that, I felt like I went to middle school after going to elementary school, and I didn't have a bad time in elementary school. But when I went to middle school, I was thinking, oh man, there's gonna be a lot more responsibilities and shit, and as such, I'm an older person. I've got more to do, more to deal with, a lot more responsibilities. So as such, people are probably gonna listen to me more and like want to hear my opinion a little bit more, and just generally be respectful of what I think.
They're not gonna just give up and go away.
As a growing person.
Yeah, and that's like exactly what didn't fucking happen, and so that's part of. And then I mean, there's more to it, like my fellow students.
Stuff, yeah.
Yeah, my fellow students being disrespected by teachers and shit. Although, it's kind of funny. Louis was telling me that he feels the same way, or he felt the same way when he was a kid, or even like as an adult working in like at schools and stuff, like how he tends to have a problem with a lot of other people and like how they do stuff, but they always like him because he's not, you know, he's never gotten to a point where it's like, okay, I need to be vocal about this person's bullshit, you know. So, you know, it's never gotten so bad that like I've had to legitimately like, okay, stop everything. I need to tell you how much you're being a cunt right now, even if it's in front of everybody. Yeah, so it's like, it's never been like that with me. I've had to straighten people out before, obviously. I've told you about this, but, you know, and like, you know, I had to build up respect, and, you know, that was more prevalent in high school for me, which I'm glad for.
Yeah,
high school was way fucking better in that regard. Because,
yeah, I think you, like, struck a nice balance in high school.
I mean, there were definitely asshole students and asshole teachers, and obviously asshole administrators. Those tend to be the worst.
Yeah.
But, like, not just for students, but for teachers as well. But yeah, it's like,
But it's like this whole, like, recognizing
that I have something to say.
People in ME demographic, too.
Yeah. And then, you know, you think about, those are, like, the reasons that I was depressed, like, because I felt like I had no power, essentially. Or not even power in like the real grandiose version of that word. I just mean like you didn't
have control of something that is specific to you.
Yeah, or just like, you know, people didn't really care what I had to say in general, or what my fellow students had to say. You know, so that's like one of the reasons for me why I became depressed. But yeah, and it's like imagine how Hope feels in this situation. It's like and it's like hit for him. Like there's what I was dealing with was very real and very personal and like serious, worth taking seriously, obviously. And like it definitely damn sure well was, because I had fucking depression. Like that's how deep it went for me. But like imagine for Hope how this shit's going down, because like you know, he's 14, so it's understandable that like he's gonna be kind of conflicted and, you know, emotional about things, just because, you know, of how young he is. But like at least Hope, you know, Hope is a pretty intelligent person, so he's got that going for him at the very least. But apart from that, like everything that could have gone wrong went wrong for him.
Yeah. He was forced into a situation where there was no time for him to develop either.
Yeah.
And he had no control over that.
Yeah, so like he had no control over his mom wanting to fight. He had no control over her dying. He had no control over the purge. He had to run away. And he had no control over becoming a lessee. And that's like that last one is pretty heavy, because like everybody knows what happens to lessee. You either complete your focus and potentially do something horrible, depending on the whim of the fal'Cie, or, you know, you just, and like even if you do complete your focus, you just you turn to crystal. It's not exactly going back to a life of, you know, of
it's actually kind of like, it's kind of surprising that, you know, like there's, well, I don't know if there's any like thoughts of suicide for him because of how much he's lost and what his future will be at a loss as well.
Yeah.
Because of that being lessee.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot in terms of like him considering suicide or whatever,
but like it seems like that should be in the cards.
Yeah, like I wouldn't be surprised if it crossed his mind at all, you know. So yeah, I'm just trying to figure out my paradigms here. I guess that's pretty good. And oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, so just like it's again, it's like it's really hard to understand why some people just only see him as like a whiny bitch and not empathize with what he's going through or anything like that. So yeah, I don't know. It's just, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Right.
So yeah, but it's honestly, it's amazing, and that's another reason why I think he's such a has such amazing character development, because like out of all the people you would expect to conquer their fears and like come to terms with the type of person they were becoming, and like what he was doing, which was scapegoating, which is pretty bad, you know. I mean, it's not something that you should do.
That's also part of the grieving process.
Yeah. And it's like he comes to terms with it when he's talking to Snow after he attempts to kill him, but you know they were interrupted by Psychom, and then Snow saves him. So they're talking about it, and you know, Hope, after Snow saves him, he realizes like, oh, he's not such a bad person after all. And he like his literal words were, I knew it all along, you know. I knew that blaming you wouldn't bring her back, and that really it's not your fault anyway. But like in his own words, he's like, I needed a reason to keep fighting, you know. So, and like and that's the point where he understands, it's like, I've been scapegoating this whole fucking time. So yeah, it's just amazing to me, like how well it was written and everything. It's really satisfying, in my opinion, watching Hope go from somebody who's like really aggressively blaming Snow for something that isn't really his fault. In fact, Snow did more than pretty much anybody in the Purge to try to help innocent people. So yeah, it's interesting. I really like. This is again, it's why this is my favorite chapter, because you see all the character development in oh, wrong paradigm there. Whoops. You see all the character development between Snow and Hope, and you start to see some with Lightning as well. So, yeah. Also, some of the coolest cutscenes ever in this chapter. So there's that. But yeah. Yeah, so that's pretty much a good summary of like Hope's character. And then also we can talk about, so after Hope, I guess now would be a good time to talk about Snow, because their character development is so closely tied to each other. And also, speaking just before we talk about that, this area is really good for grinding, because there's a kind of difficult boss coming up. And this is, you get some really pretty small area with some quickly respawning enemies. And they're pretty decent. They'll give some pretty decent Christogen for it. So if you want to sort of max out your Crystarium for this area, then here's a good place to do that, because the chapter's about to end after this next boss that we fight. I'm not really going to be grinding here because, well, first of all, I don't really need to, but also, you know, we're already kind of almost at the Crystarium cap of this area, so nothing for us to really worry about here. So yeah. Also, this is a really cool area. Just in general, you get to fight inside like a building against Psychom at night. So it's pretty cool.
At night.
Yeah. So yeah. Did you have anything else to say about Hope before we talk about Snow?
I don't think so. I feel like we pretty much covered it.
Yeah. Alright, so yeah. Yeah, so moving on to Snow. So Snow's thing is actually kind of similar to Vanille's, and we could talk about her later. But Snow's deal is that like he's all like really gung-ho and like kind of goody two-shoes, I guess you could call it, if that's the right term for it that I'm thinking of. But he's really like, yeah, he's like extremely enthusiastic about, you know, and optimistic, I guess. That's another thing about him. But yeah, he's like, and you know, tries to be friends with everybody, and like despite circumstances, he's like really eclectic. Well, not eclectic, but like just really excited to fix everybody's problems, I guess. And maybe that's a good way to put it. And just it's something that a lot of people can't fuck with, and you know, the characters who have the biggest problem with him are Lightning, obviously, and Hope. So Lightning already kind of hated Snow because he's banging her sister. But no, basically,
Right.
basically, I think I talked about this a little bit at the start, like when we first started streaming. But Lightning, apparently, Snow kind of reminds Lightning of her father, and she didn't really like how her father was kind of, I guess, kind of laid back, kind of like just go with the flow kind of person, and that's the sort of person that Snow is. So yeah, and just I guess she feels like Lightning kind of feels like Snow's way too what's the word, careless, I guess.
Okay, sure.
So yeah, and then just the fact that, you know, I guess also Lightning kind of thinks of Snow as like a bit of an idiot for that reason. But either way, like, they have very different personalities, so that's probably enough to make them sort of butt heads, which they do a lot in this game. But yeah, they've actually, and just in case anybody doesn't realize this, Lightning and Snow knew each other because, you know, Lightning is Sarah's sister, and obviously Snow was dating and or was engaged to Sarah. So, you know,
Right.
they've, you know, interacted with each other, they've butt heads before a few times.
Not exactly like get along type of people.
Yeah, but then, like, despite this, Snow is always referring to Lightning as sis, even though Lightning's, like, very adamant about how much she fucking hates him.
Right.
So, yeah, he's just very, you know, he's kind of, he doesn't drop anything for, like, trying to be friends with people, even though those people don't necessarily like him that much. So, yeah. And, you know, you can understand, like, why some people hate him. Because, like, and that's something else as well. There's a lot of people who are like, man, I fucking hate Snow just for his personality. And it's like, I get it, I guess. But it's like, just looking at that, like, in my opinion, it's a little bit unfair.
Yeah.
Because, like, it's almost like people just ignore his character development. Because, like, that is his character development. It's like, he doesn't, you know, he's not so much like, he's a bit more toned down, you know, by the end of the game.
Sure. Yeah, I could see that.
So yeah, and I guess something I want to mention is, like, it's really evident for a character like Snow because in the West, a lot of people seem to really dislike him. So, I think it's kind of a sign that you've made some incredibly realistic characters when a lot of people just hate them for no fucking reason. Or, like, no reason other than just the way they act or their personality. Because it's like, you imagine a lot of the people who hate Snow are probably kind of people who are kind of like Lightning or Hope, you know. People who would hate somebody who's, like, so fucking happy-go-lucky, you know? And, like, wants to be everybody's friend and buddy all the time. It's like, yeah, there's people out there who would absolutely hate that type of person. So I think it's really evident that Square's made some incredibly realistic characters, you know, in that regard. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense, but, like,
I think it makes sense. I think too it's just, you know, kind of like tackling the depictions of what it would really be like with all all these issues that a person would have to deal with.
Yeah. And it, like, yeah, that's something else as well. Like, it would make sense, you know, it sort of adds to the strife of the other characters, because, like, you know, they disagree with each other. And I think that's something I really like about this game, is how, like, at the start, pretty much every character has a reason to hate each other.
Right.
And I think that's really cool.
Thanks.
Oh, I should, yeah, actually, for this boss, you should use a Libra scope, so you can read, because, like, Libra only reads one enemy, but this enemy is technically, like, 5 in 1, so you can read every single one at once if you use a Libra scope. So yeah.
Excuse me. Ugh. Was not expecting that.
And also, this is kind of the only boss where you get to see Lightning's ranged physical attack. It's really fucking fast. Yeah, so like by default, auto battle selects what's it called? Ruin, which is like the ranged non-elemental magic attack. But you can use Lightning's physical attack in this fight.
Nice.
So yeah, cool stuff. This boss is really fucking badass. It's literally a whole fucking airship. And your character's like, yeah, let's just fucking fight him.
Thanks.
So yeah, this is pretty
Let's
badass.
just do it. Yeah.
It's also kind of hard. Also, I probably should have switched out Fang's saboteur role for something else, because this enemy, because it's like a ship, it's immune to status effects because it's not actually a living thing. It's just a big machine that's being run by humans. So it can't be hit by status effects. So saboteurs are gonna be. This is like one of the only 2 or 3 fights in the whole game that's immune to debuffs.
Hey, pup.
Oh, Pup's here. Hey, what's up, man? Yeah, but this is a fun fight. So yeah. But yeah, going back to like Snow. So his character development is essentially coming to terms with all the problems he's just been running away from, basically.
Okay.
So he's talking.
Avoidance is a big.
Yeah, it's avoidance, but also like his gung-ho attitude is a face that he puts on. I don't know. I feel like there's a more scientific psych term to describe that, but you know when somebody puts on a face, and by face I mean like a personality. You know.
Yep.
Someone puts on a face to try to hide what they're dealing with, or to try to ignore and run from the actual problems they're dealing with. So they're like, oh yeah, I'm living such a fucking amazing life, but actually I'm dealing with shit that's destroying me from the inside out.
Yep.
That's basically Snow, and it's also Vanille, like even more so for her. But there's a bit more intricacies to like why Vanille is the type of person that she is. But we can talk about her a little bit later. But yeah, basically that's Snow's character development. He basically you know, he realizes that he's been kind of running from problems, even though there's, you know, he's not really a hero, even though, you know, he wants to be, but he's just kind of running from all the grief that he's took part in. Even if he was trying to help people, you know, he's not like invincible, basically.
Right. Very avoidant.
Yeah, and I don't think he ever thought he was invincible, but it's almost like he just kind of blindly jumped into things without considering how it might affect other people.
Oh, okay.
So like with the Purge, he's like, yeah, let's round up some of these Purge deportees and fucking fight our way out of this. And he didn't really take into consideration how this might affect people like Hope, for example. You know, people might lose their families because of him. But you know, again, it's kind of funny because he takes the blame. He's perfectly willing to take the blame for all this. You know, it's really not his fault. It's all Psycom. It's all the Sanctum's fault. Because it's like, it's not his fault that the purge is happening at all, you know. He was just trying, like, if he hadn't done anything, maybe many more people might have died, you know. So.
Do you think, too, it might be, like, you know, he doesn't care what other people think?
Oh, yeah, that's true as well. Which, you know, is fair enough. You know, I can fuck with that. You know,
well, wow.
Well, I mean, like, you, just maybe not in terms of something like this, but, like, you know, in terms of, like, living your life the way you want to live it, you know, to hell with it. If your parents think, you know, oh, you can't be, like for example, I remember when, not to make this too personal or anything, but, like, I remember when, I think you were here for this, actually, when our grandparents came over, and they were like, they asked me, like, oh, what do you want to do? Or I think they asked both of us what we want to do. And you were like, oh, I want to be a musician. And then, and we're like, okay. And then they asked me what I want to do, and I was like, yeah, I'd like to be a musician too. And they were like, oh, you can't be a musician. I'm like, what? Why is that? And they're like, well, because musicians don't make a lot of money, and you know, you're supposed to make a lot of money. And I'm like, okay, but so what is the difference between me and Michelle? And they were like, well, Michelle's a woman, all she has to do is marry a guy who makes a lot of money. I'm like, what the fuck kind of...
Suckers, I married a musician, so...
Yeah, that's the true irony, it's the fact that you married a musician.
Yeah.
So yeah, but
Pup says he's got an idea for the snow run.
Oh, does he? Did he write it?
Yeah, maybe you could bring in some minions to help, aka other party members that are MCU and you.
Oh, so like do a snow only run, but with MCU party members. MCU stands for no Crystarium usage, so that would be like you. That would be like you don't level up anybody else. I don't know. I feel like I guess I could try that, but also I've got a pretty good plan of how I'm gonna.
Like I thought that was like something care unit because.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
There's NICU. There's like an ICU.
Oh yeah.
Newborn intensive care unit.
Yeah.
So you want him to use newborns?
Yeah, use newborns.
Oh my god.
But yeah, in terms of
like child labor.
In terms of the what's it called? The snow run. I think he could do it. The only enemy that I think he doesn't really, well, not doesn't stand a chance against, but like the only enemy that I think he would legitimately have trouble with is the final super boss. And I've come up with a pretty decent strategy to do it. Yeah, something that I felt was a good idea. I don't know if I told you about it, Pup, but if you're playing as, or even if you're playing as somebody who's either, well, not Lightning or Saz, because their limit breaks are kind of slow, but if you're playing as the other 4 characters, they have pretty fast limit breaks that do a shit ton of damage, and their limit breaks ignore defense. So that final super boss has like a part where they sort of hide in a shell and they're like immune to damage while they heal themselves, which is pretty hellish. But yeah, they like heal themselves a bunch and you can't attack them, or like you can't do any damage during that. So, but the thing is, if you use your limit break, you can still hit them because limit breaks ignore defense. So basically what I was thinking is, during the fight, what I'll do is I'll, hit him with slow, which is the only debuff that Snow can use against him. And then just go balls to the walls with magic commando, so just use Ruin. And then, you know, once the turn is over, and once the guy starts fucking healing himself, just, you know, heal yourself, apply, go for a bit of haste, and vigilance, and bravery, so that you can do more strength, or physical damage, and then just keep fucking nailing him with, Sovereign Fists. That's known as, Limit Break. And you could do, like, some pretty decent damage with Sovereign Fist, even though he's, like, immune to damage, but you can still hit him with that, so...
You mentioned Verk. Tell me more about this Verk.
Do you mean me or Pup?
Pup mentioned it.
Oh, okay. Verk, or short for... I think his name is pronounced Vercingetorix, but I always pronounce it Vercingetorix. He's like this... He's the final super boss.
Versus geriatrics.
Yeah. He's like the final super boss, or like mission mark, or like hunting mark in the game.
Okay.
So he's basically the last super boss.
You'll never defeat Andros.
Yeah. So he, wow, have I not leveled up? Oh no, I have, okay. I thought I didn't level up any of Vanille's medic in like this whole fucking playthrough. Oh, she wants a raise. Where should we go? Probably, I don't know. We'll go for these little ones first. But yeah, so he's like he's one of the, like, super difficult Seath, so they're like, the crystal zombies, basically.
Right.
So yeah, it's a really difficult fight, because it's just like, it's super fast, and it has this period of time during battle. It's almost like the fight is turn-based, basically. Because the boss, like, goes into a healing state where it's immune to all damage and it just heals itself.
Oh, okay.
For like, I don't know, 20 seconds or so. And it's like...
That's pretty long for a game, in a game battle.
Yeah.
I would think.
But yeah, pretty hellish. But you know, against like a full party of like max level stuff, it's not that bad. So basically, the deal with this enemy is if you're only doing a one, you know, like a what's it called, a solo run. All the damage is focused on you and not on your party members, because they have some AoE attacks that kind of split their damage. Yeah, so you'll have to take all the damage yourself, and then also, you know, just doing damage is kind of hard, because typically it requires a full party to kick his ass. But you know, I think it can be done. Pup did it with lightning.
I wish I could work here.
So yeah, and poison is basically... Poison's kind of fucking broken in this game, honestly, because it just does... It doesn't do damage based on how strong you are, like how much magic you have. It does damage based on the enemy's HP. So like it does a certain % of their max HP as damage. So it's pretty broken. It's like, it's useful no matter what, pretty much.
Want.
So essentially, if the character you're playing as knows poison, all you need to do is apply poison, like every turn. Yeah, apply poison and then heal or defend, and like you've pretty much won. So yeah, that's why the fight isn't too difficult as like lightning or any character who knows poison. So the only characters who don't know poison are Snow and Fang. So you gotta kind of think outside the box for them.
Sure, sure.
So yeah. So for snow, what I like the plan I was thinking of, it was basically, you know, well, you start out the battle with like Fort Assault and Age Assault. That's like, it's like a buff you can apply before the battle to like just give you a bunch of buffs, so you don't have to waste time applying them yourself.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah.
It's like your caffeine boost before the whole thing.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, so you just apply that, and then, you know, wait for your allies to die. I mean, you don't have to wait for that, if you're doing a solo run. But, let's see, and then what else do you have to do after that? I guess you'd start with Saboteur, apply slow, so that the enemy moves a bit slower, and they don't hit you as much.
Well,
yeah.
We missed the parade.
Yeah, we did. Do you
Yeah.
remember seeing that in the, when you were watching the game?
No, Pup is sad though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But I actually, out of all of the, like, different, places featured in this game, this is the one that I remember most.
Yeah.
Like, I remember this part most. Yeah.
Look at these little sheep things. They're like a cross between...
No, they're so cute.
They're like a cross between sheep and rams, I guess.
Yeah, they look like helmets almost.
Yeah, kind of. But yeah, they make little, like, buying noises.
Passengers, enjoy your
So yeah.
Don't Saz and Vanille get into a fight in this?
Yeah, they do. This is, another one of
Yeah,
my
see,
favorites.
I'm telling you, like, this is the one place I remember.
Yeah. This is a really cool... Saz and Vanille's, character development is fucking amazing as well, because, like, they have this huge fight. And it's like, the stakes are clearly, like, super fucking high. And we could talk about that a little bit later, but what was I,
Clearly the stakes are
I smelled something.
pretty rare.
Isn't it?
yeah.
Medium rare.
This place is so cool looking. Just look at, like, the bunch of
Chocobo.
clouds in the background. You could see, like, the whole fucking castle and all that shit.
Look at your mini map. It looks like a speed ray.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. Those are like docks, basically.
Yeah.
These are the chocobos.
No, I know.
Yeah.
And the sheep are like, hello, God Chocobo.
Yeah. Here we go. What were we just talking about? Oh yeah, so just to go back into that battle. So basically start in Saboteur, apply slow, and then switch to, what is it? Switch to Commando, and just do a bunch of fucking ruins, so that's like the non-elemental magic attack. And Snow is actually the fastest character in the game, so he can throw ruins out like they're fucking nothing. I think there's a chest around here, isn't there? Yeah, here it is. Right next to a chocobo. It's a Phoenix Town.
Quah!
How do you think the chocobos look in this game?
Beautiful. I love them. I am ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Yeah.
But the baby chocobo is like by far the fucking best.
Yeah.
Don't let Vanille like pop one. The map looks like a chocobo. Wait, Pup? Are you? Not really. Oh my fucking god, that's terrifying. Maybe like inside a chocobo.
I guess it looks kind of like a tail, because their tail really goes up.
He's thinking the head, but I'm like, that looks more like a person with a mohawk. That's trying to like
Yeah.
cosplay.
A little bit. I guess it kind of.
Cosplay chocobo.
If the the spikes were going backwards, then I guess so.
That could be the tail. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, this place is super cool.
Quah.
And this is the mini game. where we
Yay!
chase the chocobo. It's literally the only... So this place, basically, this is one of the things people complain about, which I kind of... I mean, I don't have a...
There's a little boy!
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it, personally, but like, yeah, so basically this minigame is just hide and seek, pretty much. Go find the chocobo. I don't know. I hope this isn't copyright. There's like little 2-second cutscenes.
Tweet, 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 motherfucker!
Yeah, but, what was I saying? And now it's down here.
Oh, they're so cute, XD.
Yeah, so this is like the only theme park in like the whole fucking game, and there's just this one mini game, and that's it. Which is find the chocobo. So like I understand why people would complain about it. I also understand why there's not more mini games. It's because you can't backtrack in this game. Like you can't go back to areas you've previously visited, apart from Chapter 11 and beyond.
Mm-hmm.
So, where is it? Is it over here? Yeah, here it is.
The little baby.
Yeah, so like I understand why people would have a problem with it. And then we get a chest out of it, which I think is a star pendant. So yeah.
Damn, son.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a pretty cool little area.
Maybe this is why I remembered
Yeah, probably.
the place right before, because it was right before the minigame.
There's a save point here. There we go. But yeah, so anyway, just to finish off with my my battle plan. Yeah, so basically just cast slow, and then you just hit him with a bunch of ruins, and then when he goes into his fucking healing state, heal yourself, buff yourself if you need to, and then use Sovereign Fist until he exits his like defensive state, and then just rinse and repeat. You probably have to summon at the very end to do just to do more damage, because like he has like gravity based healing, so you need to do more and more damage as the fight goes on. Snow might not be able to do it by himself at the very end.
Okay.
Because again, they heal more like it heals more the more damage you've done to it, so you might have to up the ante by summoning. So yeah.
So, you think this is a good place to wrap up?
Yeah, probably. This area is really short, so what I might do is just defeat these little enemies here. I'm not sure how long that would take, though. Maybe like 10 minutes.
Okay.
I think.
Cool.
So yeah.
Cool.
Wow, I was literally right in front of them. They didn't see me. Holy shit.
How much damage would Sovereign Fist do, though? Papa asks.
Sovereign Fist actually does the same amount of damage as High Wind, which is
As your mom. Oh.
as Fang's limit break ability. As what?
Nothing.
Okay. Yeah, it does the same amount of damage as Fang's, but the damage is split up differently. So Fang's limit break, High Wind does. It's kind of hard to think of it in this way, but like, it's like as a multiplier. I believe that's how the game refers to it. It's like a fucking huge calculation, but relative to each other. So basically, all of the limit break abilities in this game are designed best if used like if used against an enemy that's been staggered.
So you need to make sure to do that first.
Yeah, well, you don't have to do it technically, It's just like,
okay.
you know, it will do more damage if you do that.
Okay.
I'm gonna love this.
Yeah, so basically, Sovereign Fist does the same damage as High Wind. It's just split up differently, so a normal attack does 1.2 times damage, like that's the multiplier. Ruin does 1.0, I think. So attack does a little bit more. But Ruin's faster, so you gotta take that into account.
Oh, getting serious now.
But basically, yeah, Sovereign Fist does damage twice. It does 2.0 the first time, and then 0.5 the second time. So that's how it's like split up. And Fang's does, if I remember correctly, it does. It would be fucking 0.5, 0.5, 0.5, and then 1.5. I think, is that it?
Yes.
Does that add up to 2.5?
Oh, say it
No.
again. 0.5, 0.5, and then 1.5?
What is it?
That would
It's
be 2.5.
something like that. It hits 4 times basically.
Okay.
Yeah, you could look it up on the wiki or on the like guide. But yeah, something really weird here is that they changed my active paradigm for some fucking reason. I don't know why they did that.
It's like, you wanna try?
But yeah. So actually, in a situation where, and then the other thing is like, Fang's High Wind does the first 2 hits like up high, and then the second 2 hits down low. So if you're fighting an enemy that has a small hitbox, chances are you're only gonna hit them once, or I mean, you know, 2 out of the 4 times. So you're kind of missing out on damage compared to Snow. Snow's both of his hits always hit, so you're always gonna do 2.5 times damage with Snow's Sovereign Fist.
Okay, so there's like no room for error, really, for that. You don't have to take that into account.
Yeah, but like I've tried using Fang in that fight, and her first 2 of I'm not sure which ones because it's kind of hard to really pick out. It's kind of hard to see the numbers as you're doing it, but like okay, which weapons do I want here? That's fine actually. But yeah, it's kind of hard to see which damages it does, but it's 2 of the 4 that don't hit because Verk has kind of a small hitbox. So you're only going to be doing at like it's either 1.0 or what would it be? Actually, I think I remember what it does. It does 0.5, 0.5, 0.5, and 1. So that's 2.5 total, right? Yeah.
Yeah, 3.5s and a 1.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so you're only with Fang, you're only going to be doing either 1.0 or 1.5 times damage. So in that situation against Verk.
But when in doubt, throw some newborns.
Yeah, pretty much. When in doubt, basically what you want to do is summon. So yeah, and I'll probably save that for like the last hit or 2.
I feel like this is like FF13's like answer to Rainbow Road.
Kind of, yeah. This is pretty. It's a really colorful area.
Yeah.
How about this?
Are those just lights, like colorful lights, or are they like some sort of plant?
What are you talking about?
Those like like the yellow bulb things and the green bulb things.
Oh, I think they're just like balloons or some shit. They're like big props in the background. Again, this whole area is like an amusement park, so.
Or like a carnival thing, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but with Fang, you know, in that fight, Fang has a lot more strength than Snow, and also she has access to an ability called Bravery. So it's like Bravery, which increases your strength, but it's a lot more powerful. So she should have no problem doing like a bunch of physical damage.
Another question from Pup, actually. So he says, are you gonna also give Snow a balanced weapon?
Yeah, so the weapon I'm gonna give him is the one that lowers his HP.
Okay.
And Snow, again, he has like the highest HP out of all the characters. So if you give him a maxed out version of that weapon that lowers his HP in exchange, you'll get 1,000 strength and magic.
Okay.
Which he could use both of in this fight, where like theoretically you would be using, you know, Ruin when he's not in his like special state, and Sovereign Fist, which is a strength-based ability.
Right.
When he's in his like guarding state.
I'm ready for anything.
So yeah, so I think that's the plan I'm gonna go for. But for
Tight.
Fang, yeah, for Fang, you just go balls to the walls with physical attacks. So yeah, I don't know how well it's gonna work out, but I guess we'll see in like the next 2 months, I guess.
Slightly.
Yeah, and then I guess I'll probably give him like, oh, something I wanted to ask you, Pup, if you're still around. I was doing the maths for
I owe ya.
whether or not because last time I was talking about how Fang couldn't heal herself very well because she doesn't know the gravity-based healing, but she still has a bunch of HP. And I was doing the math, like, I guess it turns out I just didn't have very good stats on my 360 save file. But I was looking at the,
Time for a second win.
what's it called? The healing calculation, which is actually a really simple formula. And based on what I was working with there, it seems like Fang should be able to heal herself by about 8,000 per turn, or like per, 6 rounds of healing. So, yeah, and that's not too bad. That's like, with 3 turns, she can fully heal herself.
What's the question?
Oh yeah, so my question was basically, you know how commandos have this ability where they, called adrenaline, where they have, more strength and magic when they have high HP? Does that only apply to commandos, or does it apply to, like, every, like, will it increase her magic when she's in the medical, assuming she has high HP? Or is it commando exclusive? I'm feeling like it's probably exclusive to, like, only when you're a commando, not when you're a medic. Because that extra magic could really help her heal faster. So I was just wondering if you would happen to know if that adrenaline bonus applies when she's not a commando. Because basically adrenaline's like, you get like another 20% boost to strength and magic when you're at 70% or higher HP. So I was wondering if that also applies to,
Very interesting question.
what?
I think that's pretty interesting. Yeah. If he
Yeah.
says just commando.
I could probably find out, I guess,
He
myself.
just said that though.
Oh, is
just
that what he said?
commandos.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be easier for you because you have like a proper save file.
I'm ready for anything.
Yeah. Either way, even if she doesn't have that, I did the calculation without it, and she should be able to heal herself, assuming you have Faithra, which is the ability that like really increases your magic. She should be able to heal herself by about 8,000 per like, turn.
So, like, That's just on her own, like without the buff, right?
Without adrenaline, yeah.
Right.
But assuming you've cast Faithra on yourself, which gives you more, 75% more magic, then she should be able to heal herself, like, to max, like, from 0, which you won't be at, because if you reach 0, you're gonna die, but, you know, if you, like, it would, theoretically, if she had 0 HP, she would be able to heal herself to her full 24,000 within 3 turns. So
Gotcha.
that's not too bad. It's I guess it seemed shit to me because I didn't have like good stats on my
On the 360 save.
yeah. So yeah, because I went for like a bit more of a well, I went for a bit more of a balanced weapon, so I didn't go for that weapon that gives her like a bunch of strength and magic, so
He says like, wow, or like, well, he doesn't say wow. 8k HP per cast. I don't think I even got lightning to heal that much. That's because lightning isn't that good of a healer, right? Like,
well no, it's actually because lightning doesn't know Faithra.
okay.
So
okay.
lightning knows Faith, which increases your magic by, I think it's 25%? I don't remember the exact percent amount for that, but you know, that's what Faith does. Faith Ra is just a stronger version of it.
Right. Like they changed the name ever so slightly.
Yeah. Because you know, it's like
As you level up.
it's like Thunder, Thundara, Thundaga. It's kind of like that for the other abilities, the other magic abilities as well. So yeah. So yeah, that's why, yeah, and so, well, like, it would be like, it's 8,000 divided by 6, so that's how much each individual cure would heal. But I did the whole equation. You could do it yourself. It's actually, since the healing equation is, like, really simple compared to the damage calculation, it's just, like, I was looking at it on the guide that you showed me, it was, like, it's like magic times 0.2 plus 100, and then also any additional like buffs, like that's also including like the stage 5 medic buff, and like the Faithra buff and all that other shit. So, or any other applicable bonuses. So yeah, it's actually a pretty simple formula.
I like how Vanille was like just bored, and so like she sat on her feet on the floor. I'm like, that's so me. I always do that.
Yeah, I'm glad that there's a lot of cool animations in this game. It's really nice. Like they have
taking
like,
too long to do things. Come on.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But yeah, so that's yeah. If you want to experiment with that pup, by all means, I'd love to hear. Yeah, I was wondering. I have a feeling that the adrenaline buff only applies to you when you're commando, because like other buffs like reprieve or whatever, like the one that lets you withstand like a massive hit as long as you're above critical health. It'll leave you with 1 HP. I think that only applies. I think that only applies to Sentinels. So yeah, I'm not exactly sure which buffs carry over to like other roles. I don't think they do, but I was looking through the guide and it didn't say anything about that. So I don't know. I guess it would have to be tested out to find out.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you can do that, that'd be cool. If you want to, it would just be easier for you because you have a full like a proper PC save file, and I don't have that yet. But yeah, that's the plan. So yeah, basically the secret for that final super boss is unless you're playing as Lightning or Saz, like even if you're playing as Hope and Vanille, they have their limit breaks have ×4 multipliers, and that's fucking huge. And it's not too slow. It's not as slow as Lightning and Saz's limit breaks. So you can use those while you're just killing time waiting for the boss to stop its regeneration bullshit. So yeah. But yeah, that kind of wraps it up for our session today. We didn't beat the boss of this area, but we beat the previous chapter. We're right at the end of this chapter right here. It's a pretty short one. There's one kind of quick boss, and then the summon fight after that, and then we're done with this chapter.
And so don't forget, if you want to keep watching, next week it should be around the same time on Wednesday. So that would be what? It would be like 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central.
Yeah, I live in Central, so it would be 3 p.m. for me, so that's 4 p.m. Eastern if that makes it easier for anybody. But yeah, next week, Wednesday, hopefully we'll be back again at the same day, at the same time. So yeah, that's about it from us.
And if you're abroad, then Central European time would be 10 p.m.
Yeah.
Because that's where I am.
Yeah, so I think that's about it.
Alright,
So,
you
yeah.
guys, thanks so much for commenting in the chat. Thank you, Pup, for a little bit of excitement in that chat.
And thanks for the
Always nice to
insight
see
as
you.
well.
Always nice to hear from you guys.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
Well, yeah, so we're gonna get going now. So, yeah, thanks everybody for watching, and I guess we'll see you next week. Alright, see you everybody.
see y'all.
Bye.
Bye.